going to call this meeting of Atascosa County Commissioners Court to order, being August 8th, 2022. The time is almost 9:01 a.m., taking place in the county courtroom, suite 203. And we're going to ask everyone to stand for a prayer and pledge of allegiance, please. Bow your heads, please. Father, we just pray you continue our prayer and supplication to you for rain, for prosperity for our county and its citizens, for health and welfare. We pray that you would bless this Commissioner's Court with your wisdom, divine support, and assistance to do the right things for the citizens of this county. We ask this in Jesus' name. Amen. Next slide, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated. Next item on the agenda is public comments. I don't have anything in front of me. Is there anybody that wishes to speak?
There should be one up there on the far left, Rusty.
Thank you for your help. I'm sorry we don't pay anything for it. Well, I'm not really sorry. That was not true.
Good man.
Oh, it's respect. It's you. That's why.
Yes. Isn't that cute?
All right.
Well, first off,
Mr. Respect, you have 5 minutes, sir.
thank you very much. And first of all, I'm much better in writing than orally. I usually don't make all my thoughts clear if I'm talking, and I talked last night. So the first thing I'd like to do is express my apologies for having offended anyone in or outside this courtroom during the last Commissioner's Court. For clarification, I was addressing a mammoth epidemic plaguing our county, our country overall. Texas more than other states, Atascosa County specifically. This problem of obesity is not a personal affront to anyone who is overweight. I have, through my observations, witnessed an enormous number of people who are dangerously overweight. That is, their excessive weight restricts every part of their life while including multiple liabilities that create or exacerbate multiple diseases. I was questioned by a person attending the meeting what data I had to report this claim. First, it's not a claim, it's a well-covered dilemma, and with data having been collected over many decades, pretty much every major magazine, not just health magazines, have been reporting the horrible impact of the colossal percentages of obese citizens have on themselves and on the communities in which they live. This is overwhelming, legitimate data supporting the consequences of this modern epidemic. The findings of George Washington University and Forbes magazine, for example, just in these two publications, the data studied should reveal a clear and present danger to the obese. 60% of Americans right now are at an unhealthy weight. 33.4% are obese, and at this rate, by 2030, half the population of the United States will be obese. Obesity-related conditions include heart disease, stroke, cancer, not to mention the quality of life that's thrown away because of the overweight conditions limit significantly any physical interaction with family and friends. Again, I don't look at anybody in here and go like, oh, I'm trying to help with a problem that I had when I was about 30, and my best friend cousin died of pretty much, a scholar, a principal, a teacher, an athlete, And he got about 80 pounds overweight and stayed there. He had high blood pressure, he had medicine he was taking, and this is one of the smartest guys I ever knew, sitting there eating himself to death. And he died at 48, and asked me to give the eulogy, and I was so ticked off at him I couldn't. I was mad at him. I wasn't sorry that he died, I was sorry in the way he died. So that's kind of the impetus I have behind all my life, looking at people and going like, you deserve to give yourself more life than what you have. That's my only objective, was to make people aware. And if I were to come up with how my intent would be to identify a community problem that, if ignored, just spreads without resistance. B, to create a discussion to confront the problem. And C, brainstorm ways that you, elected officials, can set an example for constituents just by adding into your daily routine 30 minutes dedicated to engaging in some form of exercise to challenge and strengthen your body. I thank you for letting me talk to you, and again, I apologize if that offends anyone.
Thank you, Mr. Beck. The next item is Veronica Sanchez. A, discuss and take appropriate action concerning the Atascosa County local match commitment / requirement for Camino Real Community Services for fiscal year 2023. Hi, Veronica.
Hi, good morning.
Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Veronica Sanchez. I'm with Camino Real Community Services. I'm the Executive Director for Camino Real. I'm here today to request continuation of the in-kind support that Atascosa County has provided for our community mental health, intellectual and developmental disability center. I also wanted to provide a few bits of information. To date, Atascosa County has been the recipient of services in the form of our center being able to serve over 1,500 individuals unduplicated. So that means 1,500 people from Atascosa County did receive services, and this is for a 9-month time frame. Last year, in Atascosa County, we served a little bit under 2,000. Again, these are unduplicated numbers, so an individual can receive multiple services. But in terms of the unduplicated served, it was a little bit less than 2,000. To be exact, it was 1,987. We do serve a 0 to 3 population. We also serve a 3-year-old to age 18 population, which is for youth and adolescents. And then, of course, we serve 18 and older. Our services do consist of in-home, community-based type services, and we also have crisis residential services. One community residential center is located in Atascosa County in Lytle, Texas, where our administrative office is. Our second facility is located in Eagle Pass, Texas, which is Maverick County. Also inclusive of our services are payment for the cost of hospitalization. So if an individual needs inpatient psychiatric hospitalization, we're able to cover the cost for those individuals. Of course, it requires us going out and doing a community-based or an individual risk assessment. So that's just a little bit of what we do for the community of Atascosa. And we have been very appreciative of the past support that you've given, and of course would appreciate the continued support in the form of your local match.
Our match is, you can see that they're showing a commitment of $133,770, and our match is the same as we've given for a number of years now. It's $25,000. That's what we're approving today. Any questions for?
You have shared how many cases you have. How many case workers do you have, is my question. That's a high number. I'm just curious, and I think for the public it would be something of knowledge.
We have and I forgot to introduce someone very important who handed out paperwork. This is Veronica Mudaida. She's the new clinic manager down it's not that far down the street here. And how many case managers do you have in your office?
I currently have 2 case managers, and with a total of 4 that I should have. We have posted the position and
For how many more?
for additional two,
2 more?
we should have actually 4 case managers and we currently have 2.
So you should have a total of 4?
That is correct.
And that's for adult mental health services
Adult
only.
mental health services.
For children's mental health, we have 3 positions, and I believe they're all filled.
That is correct.
So for adult services, I'm going to say probably the staff to consumer ratio is probably a little bit high right now. So if anybody knows of anyone interested in a qualified mental health professional job, please send them our way. We recently increased our pay to try to recruit, but we are struggling across the state. Employers are struggling in our types of businesses to recruit people to serve persons with psychiatric or mental health disorders.
Do you feel like you're getting a handle on the turnover in the Jordan Clinic?
I think in children's services, we've finally have just, I mean, it's surprising, but sometimes we only get 1 applicant. We are trying different resources. I think up next is we're going to try to do a job fair just to see if we can get anybody to work with our center.
I know you cover 9 counties. Are you facing the same problem in all of your clinics?
It is absolutely across all clinics. Wilson County, and, you know, we've gone like,
Not 9 other counties, 8 other counties.
yeah, so
Sorry,
in the other
misspoke.
counties, it's across the board. Wilson, Atascosa, Frio are probably the worst in terms of recruitment. And I'm not sure if that's because we're around Bear County, right? And so Bear County's probably picking up most of the employees. So in adult services, you can probably have as high as 101 employee to about 150 individuals.
Right.
And we also offer the medical, the doctor, psychiatric services. So we're surprisingly doing okay with psychiatry because we offer telemedicine. So the doctor may be remote, like in Florida, or I forgot where Dr. Vasquez is, but New York. So they're able to telemed in and render the psychiatric.
So being you're on open air and you're on our page that's going out, would you like to give some information as to how, if someone's interested in trying to apply for you guys, it's a good time to give a email address or a website or phone number or something?
Okay, so we have an email, website of www.caminorealcs.org. So it's www.caminoreal, C as in cat, S as in Sam.org. And there are applications that can be accessed at that website. I believe the starting salaries is around the mid-40s. I don't have the exact figure.
You have a motion?
What is our commitment again?
25,000.
Where does that show?
It doesn't show on here. I don't think.
What that shows is just the value of the building where the staff are officed. The 133,770 is the value that we apply to that office space.
Oh, so, okay.
In
I
terms
got
of
it.
dollar
In-kind.
value, that's something different that
Got it.
Atascosa County does.
That portion has no money associated with
I
it.
got it.
It's just the in-kind match.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, Tracy.
Motion by Commissioner Perez,
Second.
second by Commissioner Knowlton. Any other discussion or questions? Well, we appreciate what you do for our people, the county, and the public. And,
Thank you
it's
very
valuable
much.
to us. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All those in favor, please indicate by raising your right hand. Motion carries. One more thing is, that Ms. Sanchez has on here is discuss and take appropriate action concerning the reappointment of Donna Reyes to the Camino Real Community Services Board of Trustees for another 2-year term. I tried to email her and see if she is agreeable to taking the term, and I didn't get an answer yet, but I didn't email until Friday, I don't think.
And she
But she is
is.
agreeable to taking another term?
Yes, sir. I asked her directly, and she is.
We're gonna
Before I
take your
did
word on
this.
that, I'll make a motion. Yeah, we'll let him have it.
Motion by Commissioner Riley,
Second.
second by Commissioner Perez. I thought you said second.
No, I was
Oh,
watching
okay.
him.
Second by Commissioner, everybody's so nice to each other.
Wait till later.
Second by Commissioner Knowlton. Discussion, all those in favor, please indicate by raising your right hand. Motion carries. Please, I'll tell her myself, but please thank Judge Reyes for
I will.
representing our county
I
on
will.
your nine-county board.
We appreciate it.
All right,
Thank
thank you very much. Next, we have Dale Rankin, discuss and take appropriate action concerning the 4-H annual interpretation presented by Atascosa 4-H Council. Oh, sure. Well, I only got one copy here. Hmm?
You can keep one, and I'll take one.
But I've only got one copy.
The top one. The top.
Okay, good. I'll sign hers and give it to the county clerk. Yes, ma'am, thank you.
Good morning, Judge and Commissioners. Welcome, and it's glad to be here this beautiful Monday morning. You should have in front of you a little kind of a snapshot of some of our bigger activities that our Atascosa County 4-H members have been doing over this past year. We're kind of in the winding down of our what we call our 2021-2022 year, and be kicking off our 2022-2023 year. We have some young folks with us. We have Miss Holly Bates. She is our 4-H incoming County Council Chairwoman. So I'm going to let her say a few words and let her introduce her office.
Yes, absolutely. Hi, guys. I don't know. Oh, you mean to move it? Okay. Hi, guys. My name's Hallie, and I am going to be our county president chairman this year, and I'm really excited to get to serve with these awesome group of kids. So I'm going to introduce y'all going that way. So this is Reagan, and this is Montana, Colby, Evelyn, and Memphis, and each of these awesome my peers, I guess, are on our council, and we're really excited this year. Our goal is service, so we're really looking forward to working with other groups in our county, our Granges, FFAs, Rotary Clubs, to serve our community in the best possible way we can. And we're going to commit each month to a different service project. And so I believe this month we are working on some can drives and how we can help our local cams. So yeah, we're just so thankful for your support and excited for this next year. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you all, Judge and Commissioners. We couldn't do it without y'all's support. Also want to recognize Miss Valerie Aguilar. Miss Julia Perkins. These are some of our volunteer leaders. And I'm going blank. Waylon. Yes, Waylon Aguilar. Yes, I almost called him the wrong name, but Waylon Aguilar. He is a Clover kid and very, very fortunate to be part of watching his big sisters go through and waiting his turn patiently. So we have Miss Ashley Staten, who is also with us this morning. Miss Drew was going to be here, and she woke up, she said, with a bad migraine headache, so she's not, that's the reason she's not here this morning. And then Monica's holding down the office, and Miss Teresa's also at the office this morning. So we thank y'all for everything. We feel we have a tremendous group of 4-H'ers across the county. I would put our county up against any other county across the state of Texas.
Well, thank you for what you do and continuing to build young people's lives and benefit the county and these kids. It's good work. We appreciate y'all very much. Thank you all. Appreciate you coming. Thank you. Yes, we can. Absolutely. Let's see, there's only
Yeah.
a 50-year age gap? No, 40?
Where?
Hey, myself.
Can you get him somewhere? Come stand here. Come stand here. He's not afraid of me.
Three, two, one. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Bye. Thanks for coming. Okay, with that, if there's no objection, especially it's Commissioner Gillespie's item, I would like to move agenda item 17 up to now because we have some people here to speak to it that have it on a time deadline.
Fine with me.
Is that okay? Any objection?
Which one is it, 17?
17. If you Well, we'll just start with A, review and improve the employee time and attendance policy and add to the Atascosa County Personnel Manual. I would really appreciate it if you could highlight the changes for us, because they're not marked on here, on any of them that I could see.
Judge, this is a new time and attendance policy. I don't think there is a current one. That's why we're issuing this. Being that we've moved to time clock plus, and we're trying to get everybody in the county on board and in compliance with Department of Labor, this is a new policy.
Well, there is some verbiage in the personnel manual on time clock policy. It says people can't clock in for others. It says they have to follow it and so forth and so on. It describes the wage and hour laws. I'm just saying, there is something in the personnel manual, so we would need to probably note that this would supersede that, anything in the personnel manual. Okay. Is there anything remarkable we need to know on this, Commissioner?
Not really. I'm gonna just go off of Ms. Pereira had reached out to me since I had a few things on some stuff that we needed to try to see about the personnel book, and this was piggybacked off of that. So I can't really say I myself have anything with the time clock deal, but I know that she had wanted to try to get something changed in it, so.
Judge, I had issued this time and attendance, and I wanted this done, and he was doing some other things.
Well, that's
for-
fine, that's fine.
For the
I don't see anything
policy
wrong
manual.
with it, I just was,
It's just that the only people exempt from clocking in and out will be elected officials. Everyone else will have to clock in and out, exempt or non-exempt.
and that's where it says all employees in bold and underlined, is that right?
Yes. If the department head wants to set them as exempt, that's fine. There's no issue with an individual being an exempt employee, but we have to keep time. And I did check into it, and there's nothing wrong with us having all individuals clocking in and out.
Is the, and that's, you're doing this in conjunction with the new time policy, because people can clock in wherever they are, if they're in court, or they're on patrol, or if they're making a home visit. It's something they can do on their laptop or their phone,
Not everybody, it just depends on where their main workstation is, what they call their
so it can
home
be
base.
set up to do that.
Some are, yes.
No phones. Did you say no phones?
We do have, we haven't had any issues with, like the sheriff's office, who's one of our biggest offices, we haven't had any issues with them all switching over to get it done. And we've accommodated everybody that we need to accommodate that has reached out to Justin or I.
Okay. We have a motion to approve. the
Your Honor,
time-
may I address the
Yes,
court
the
regarding
time and
this
attendance
issue?
policy, please do.
Yes. As far as I know, my office has not received the policy to review. I'd really like a chance for us to review that policy. I don't think, Trent's already, as far as I know, we haven't received a policy to review. Because I'd really like to look at that regarding, especially my attorneys who tend to work many hours that are not in the office, and I'm not sure how that's going to affect them. For instance, we had a jury trial regarding the individual who had tuberculosis last week, and we had to drop everything, and several of my lawyers spent hours outside the office working. And those, so I'm not sure how that's going to work, if they can't log in on their phones, if they have a work station, a laptop or whatever that's work issued, or if they don't. Sometimes their work occurs on devices that are not within. I don't know how that works. I'd like an opportunity, my office would like an opportunity to review the policy, first of all, for those particular issues that my office has, and second, to look at any possible legal implications. And we haven't, as the county attorney's office giving legal advice to the commissioner's court, I'd really like a chance to review that before you, of course, it's your choice, before you vote on it.
Can I address that, Judge?
Yes, please do.
So you're asking that we allow you to write this for your office in particular, because there's the entire county, this is for the entire county, not just for your office. And TAC Legal has looked at this and advised me on it. I know you've seen it, so I don't think that there's,
I don't know that, I haven't seen it.
it was not sent to you.
As far as I know, I have not seen it. And no, it's not about for my office. That's just a particular example. I am concerned because, of course, my office does have some specialized.
True, but we've implemented this for some time already. We started this, we've been talking about it for months. And like I said, the largest department, we haven't had any issues implementing that because they've reached out to us and said, we're going to have this issue, that issue, this issue. How can we address that? So, I haven't heard from you at all.
Well, I understand that. That's because I was assuming I would receive the policy to review it, so I could see how that was going to interact with my department particularly, and the lawyers that I have particularly. Throughout my time as being elected, lawyers have been exempt from any kind of time clock because of the particular issues inherent in their job. For instance, judges don't really punch a time clock. We have to stay as long as a judge stays. Sometimes that's well beyond the hours that are 8 to 5 or 9 to 5, however you want to look at it. Sometimes we go to other justices of the peace. We're not in the office quite often because we're in court in different locations. I just want to make sure that the lawyers understand what the policy is and how it's applied. It's not intended for me asking for particular favors, which is basically what you're implying by what you're saying, to my office. Well, no, it's not about me and my office. It's about the fact that we have professional persons, lawyers, who have a particular scheduling issue, and they have a way of working that is not any way like any of the other offices in the county. And it just is what it is. So I'd like a chance to review that. And as far as I know, I have not received that policy or had a chance to look at it. I mean, I'm not sure that I understand. Is there some?
And there's nothing wrong with your staff clocking in and out, even as an exempt. And if they're working hours from home or they're working in this courtroom, we can accommodate all of those situations.
Would it be acceptable for me to review the policy? But I mean, if the commissioners want to pass it, I guess that's fine. I'd like my office to have a chance to look at it for legal issues and to review it. I haven't seen the policy. I'm not doubting that you checked with TAC. I'm not. But if my job is to give this county legal advice, then I'd like the chance to give this county legal advice on a policy. If the commissioners don't want to do that, that's fine.
When it affects your office.
No, in any event. There are several other things on this list that we are going to ask for that same thing, that we're going to ask for time to review it. This just happens to be the first on this list of things. So I guess the Commissioners Court can choose to act without that, but this is where we are. If you want to use my office for legal advice, then we need to review things like this for legal issues before they are passed. If you don't want to take my office's legal advice or don't want us to review it, that's perfectly fine. But I'm asking for the opportunity to do that. It's up to the commissioners.
So I'm not opposed to your office doing their job, you know, reviewing our policies. Obviously, I thought you had done it already. My apologies.
Nope.
What I would like to express, and I hate comparing apples, but the road crew is never in an office either.
I understand that.
They're all across the county, countywide. Every day they punch in, every day they get back, they punch out. Is there a reason why the attorneys can't leave a justice of the peace and go back to their office and punch in or punch out any different than a road crew worker?
Well,
There's more of those than there are of your office.
I understand that, but here's what happens with lawyers. If you go to JP2, all of my lawyers live in San Antonio. So what you're asking them to do is, for instance, and I understand that, that's their choice. I get that that's their choice. So you're asking them to go to JP2 in Lytle. And then you want them, when they finish court there, to drive back, if it's 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 8 o'clock at night, no matter what time it is, to the office here physically, to then do some kind of punching in, and then they get in their car and drive home. That's what you're asking in those particular circumstances. Again, if they are working from home because they never came to the office and they're getting ready for a jury trial, see, because people don't see my office doing those kinds of things, they think we're not there. They think we're not working. And so if you're at home and you're up till midnight, for instance, last week, and you're up till midnight working on a jury charge, trying to pick a jury at the last minute because of that particular situation, then if you're not ever at the office because you spent all day at home working on that stuff, I was under the impression that I was allowed to allow my lawyers to do that. So in my particular office, there are some special circumstances that don't apply to the road crew. And I get what you're saying. I'm not trying to say that if you want them to account for their time, that if that's what you want to do, that's fine. But I would like to be sure that that works. So it's hard enough for my office to hire lawyers at this point. We've had some issues, as I know that the DA has had. We've had some really serious issues. It's not just the mental health clinics or with employees. We compete with Bexar County. We compete with Travis. I've lost employees all over the place. And one of the things that you can do is you can let people have the luxury of doing their work at their home to get ready for things like this instead of making them sit at the office till midnight here in Atascosa County when they live somewhere else. It's just a thing you can do. I'm sorry.
I have a question.
Yes.
For Tracy. You earlier said you had been able to accommodate people for their special situations. How would you accommodate this? If somebody was working from home, how would we?
First of all, keeping time and attendance is to protect your employees just as much that if they're working until midnight, we need to, that's for their benefit that we document their time. Whether if they come in at noon and work till midnight or whatever they're doing, it's a benefit to them as well.
Why is that?
Because there's laws that apply if you're exempt, even if you're exempt, if you're working them over the hours that they are allotted for, yes, ma'am.
Well, they're not working. I'm not forcing them to work their hours. When you're a lawyer, you do the work that's required to get the job done. And all of the lawyers that work in this jurisdiction will tell you that. There's not a single lawyer that's going to stop working on a case because they think that they're worked a certain number of hours and they should be finished now. That isn't how court works, and it's not how lawyers work. I'm just telling you. So I understand what you're saying, but whatever we do here is not going to stop any lawyer from getting ready from court. It's not going to stop any lawyer from prosecuting criminals. You can ask the DA's office, you can ask the assistant DAs, you can ask any lawyer in my office. But that is never going to stop them from doing their jobs. So I understand what you're saying. I understand what you're saying, but if they're exempt, they can work the hours that they want to work.
Exactly.
Right. So I guess I'm not understanding what the big issue is regarding that. But if that's, again, how would you accommodate them?
All employees are paid with taxpayer dollars.
I understand that.
They're not paid out of any other
Certainly they are.
elected officials. So therefore, if we're implementing for all employees, there's no exceptions just for your office because they're lawyers. And to accommodate that, they do have laptops. Are they issued laptops from your office?
I believe, does everyone have we have one laptop from the office. We have one. So people do work on either on their personal laptop computers or their desktops. Yeah, I didn't think we had one for everybody. We have one total.
How many lawyers do you have?
How many lawyers do I have? And I have myself and 4 assistants right now.
So you need essentially you'd need 5 laptops.
If we're going to use the work laptop as a way of checking in, yes, that's what I'm saying. We haven't needed that up to now because people have done work on their personal laptops because we only had the one work laptop. And we put it in the office so that we could use it to put like PowerPoints and displays when we're doing jury trials.
Zoom hearings.
Yeah, and Zoom, excuse me, and we were using it for Zoom hearings also when we were doing Zoom.
What's a laptop cost?
I have a question. You say all employees, are you including the DA's office?
Yes, they'll be clocking in and out.
You probably haven't thought of it, but we also have the public defender's office that we're rebuilding right now is a department of Atascosa County. So we'll apply to all employees there as well, and they're gonna have to be informed. We've only got 3 there now, but we're planning on hiring about 10 lawyers. So it's gonna be a very similar thing. And they're gonna be working 4 counties.
Do you remember that we had an issue, when they came in the office, and there was an attorney that wanted to be paid vacation? And we objected because we had no way of knowing whether they had used their vacation or not, and it kind of went back and forth. I believe it might even have come to Commissioner's Court, I'm not sure. But I think that's what, Tracy's trying to get at. We don't know, it's not that they're going to adopt, but it is a way of saying, this attorney worked hard all year, now they're leaving, and we have no way of knowing whether they use vacation or not to be able to pay it or not. I do know that came up, but, I mean, I'm just,
But comp time doesn't apply to exempt employees.
no, they will be earning comp
But
time.
vacation,
It's just a form of tracking time.
Yeah.
It's not tracking the number of hours they work or don't work, it's tracking time. So if they come in and they ask to be paid because they worked hard all year and they're leaving, and that, federal elected official wants to pay them the vacation, there's no way to know whether they truly used it or not.
has the DA been informed of this? Okay. Commissioners want to do on A? Do we want to postpone it until review? Or do you want to pass it subject to review, or do you want to dismiss it?
If our county attorney feels it needs to be reviewed, I would appreciate it being reviewed.
And maybe we'll be fine with it. But if we're going to be using, if that's part of it, is that we're gonna be required to use work laptops to check in and out, then my office is gonna have to get work laptops. And we're gonna have to do all of that. Up to now, we have not asked the Commissioners Court for that.
I'm sorry.
I mean,
You can use phone, smartphone?
she just said that we wouldn't be able to use phones.
So in certain situations, as long as we have written justification of who and why, they would need to use the mobile app. That's what we've been going on.
Okay.
All right, well, I mean, this is the first I've known of this. So
But doesn't that solve your problem?
if we can do that, yes, if that's, I don't know what written, if we can do a written justification, if there's a way to avoid that issue, that would be part of what we would be reviewing in our policy.
But for clarifications, I need to know for myself, they'll only be using that app when they're not working here at the office, which is just an occasional here and there.
Well, in my office, there's 4 JP courts, and
So every day, your people aren't in their office?
a lot of times they are not in the office. That is correct.
Okay.
Because they're in JP1, JP2, JP3, JP4, doing traffic tickets, et cetera. Sometimes, like I said, sometimes they are at, would you count conferences? How would that work? Every year we attend our annual conference. So none of the lawyers have ever worried about their
I
time.
can answer that. As a supervisor, you can go into the program and add that to their time sheet as at conference.
So I'm gonna have to, do that
Delegate,
myself
yeah, delegate that.
manually.
But doesn't the mobile app solve your issue?
If that is what we're allowed to do with the mobile app, I don't know how it
She still wants
works.
to review it. This is very vague on, it was not vague, it doesn't say anything about how it's to be accomplished.
If we can make sure that
policy.
everybody who's going to be required to do this can accomplish it and still do their duties, I'm fine with that. I just don't, I haven't looked at this policy. I wasn't aware that there was a mobile app. I wasn't aware that we could do a written justification. I wasn't aware of any of that. But yes, as to my particular office, that would have been one of the reasons, because I think a lot of this is going to apply to most of my employees. And I would be happy to review that and make sure that everyone, including my office, can make it work properly, or there's no point in doing it.
Okay. Shall we vote on this one or move on and talk about all
Well,
four?
I'm gonna,
and then-
well, I guess we can,
No, okay, from what the county attorney's saying, she would like to review it. I don't have an issue with her reviewing it.
the judge's question is, do we want to wait and possibly do all four as a review, or just talk about A, decide what we're going to review or
Let's
not, and go to the next one?
have a discussion. Let's talk about all of them.
Before we, okay.
Before you vote?
Yeah, I mean, well, no, we can
I think we
table.
need to
You
leave,
can elect to combine
I
the four
think we
and
need to leave
discuss
them
them,
all separate.
and then vote all
That's
on
what I
all of them
think.
at one time, since we're.
So I would make, I'll make the motion that we table item A and allow the county attorney till the next commissioners court meeting to review it.
We have a motion to table item A. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second. Discussion, all those in favor, please indicate by raising your right hand. Motion carries. B, review and approve the employee compensation time policy and add to the county personnel manual. Again, I guess that would fall under the same thing.
Well, this, a lot of it we've discussed already from what I'm reading.
Well, this is.
Regarding
this
comp
is,
time and-
Yes, I started this about 2 years ago, sending out a list of, I didn't do it, actually, my office did for me. I didn't do the work, Rusty did the work, but he's standing here, so I have to confess. And the problem is that we have too many people running their compensatory time up. I mean, we're talking 200, 250 hours, and at that time, I met with a number of department heads and we surveyed it, and I tried talking to some of the department heads that had some employees with very high numbers, and some worked on it very hard. I know there's a particular problem in the county attorney's office. It's being addressed right now. It's coming down quickly.
Right.
It's being taken care of. So I appreciate all those people working on it, but there are people not paying attention to our, what I consider to be a nice request at all. So this would codify it in county policy, limiting the amount of unused compensatory time at 8 hours. What that would mean is that once they hit 80 hours and when they accrue compensatory time, they have to take time off.
Your Honor, would we still be able to, as two of the employees on that list are my employees, and again, they're paralegals, and we have the same problem with judges don't let you go home when it's 5 o'clock, they let you go home when court's over. That's one of the reasons why particularly Polly Filson has so many hours, because she's a certified paralegal, and she drafts documents, she drafts things, and so what she's been doing to try to work off the hours is she's taking off once a week, I think it's usually Fridays or Mondays, to try to work her time down in anticipation of retiring. So because we rely so heavily on her, it's gonna be very difficult to replace her. Would we be allowed to continue to do that with her in
Absolutely.
particular?
Yeah, I think you have to work out a plan. It doesn't say when you have to use it, but you do have to use it. Now, I don't, does it say when, how much time is allowed?
I don't think we got this policy
Reasonable period. It says
either,
reasonable
as far as
period.
I know.
I'm sorry?
I don't know that we've reviewed this policy
No,
either.
this would be in the same circumstances, but we're
Right.
just discussing it.
Right.
It says reasonable period, so it won't place an undue hardship on the department in which the employee works. The point of the whole issue is that if a department head has an employee that has 80 hours of comp time that's got to be paid for, that means you can't hire anybody for 2 weeks. If you have somebody with 240 hours, that means you can't hire anybody for, what is that, 7 weeks? 6 weeks?
Right.
6 weeks.
And like I said,
And,
we've addressed that at
so
my office. We're working on it.
It's gonna hamstring departments heads as they try to hire them, and while they're trying to be nice to the employees right now and let them accrue this, it's gonna come back and hurt you. And it's just some sort of policy. 80 hours could be adjusted, that's an arbitrary number that I visited with a number of department heads. I talked to employees that said they like to keep a cushion of 80 hours was a number that kept coming up over and over and over, that's 2 weeks. So if I got sick and I had to stay out for a while, that's 2 weeks I could use. I think that's a reasonable request.
Well, Your Honor, if I might interrupt, doesn't this, it goes beyond a reasonable cushion that somebody wants. This would indicate if you got that many comp hours, that your staffing is wrong, is it not? And your budget is wrong. You should budget for this.
Well,
Am I wrong in this?
I don't mean to pick on Polly, but.
I'm not picking on you.
It's okay. It's one of the reasons why I got rid of one of the lawyers and turned it into an admin. That was one of the budgetary considerations this last time. We needed an extra admin because Maureen and Polly in particular, have certain expertise that is not easy to find in a rural community, but.
Commissioner Chris?
With us, what makes it hard is we don't have enough people. So a lot of times I ask these guys to stay over a little bit. Or by the same token, if they're out there working and then they go home and then they get a call for a fire or a call for a tree down or whatever, they have to come out. And so we run over the hours.
They can also get emergency pay for that.
Yeah, we've done that also.
But right now, I've got the same issue. I've got 2 employees that we're bleeding it off, but I'm making them take time off.
Yeah, we do too. We make them take some of that time off, but then that just makes us even with less hands.
I understand.
And like I said, we've addressed it. I've discussed it with Polly at length, and she's heading towards retirement, and she's taking a day off a week.
If you weren't here for the budget audit.
Right.
Mr. Byer pointed out that all of these hours are considered a financial liability to the county and counts against, to pick on her a little bit. And I talked to her about it, and she's immediately trying to do something about it.
Yes,
So
she
I
and
give her
Maureen both
credit.
are.
But Polly was just, she just works all the time, and most of hers was staying late at court. Sometimes court would last till 6, 7, 8 o'clock, back when we got a new district judge.
Correct.
And that means the county attorney and a county court law judge too. Judge Ellison would work late then too. He doesn't let the clock stop him, but that means everybody else has to stay too.
That's why I think Margie Ripple might also be on the list,
Margie Ripples is very high.
because
of
she's the
that, too.
coordinator for Judge Brendel's court.
She's the only employee Judge Brendel has.
Correct.
And so everybody, I think reasonable period is got to be enacted in this, but we're just trying to start codifying this in some way for the county to have a responsible policy so that we can demonstrate that to.
I think it's a good idea to have the policy. I just want us to be able to grandfather in some of the people so that we can have a reasonable reduction. And so as long as my 2 employees that are on the list can do that, I think Lori Riley might be on the list. She's another court coordinator. And that's one of the problems that's inherent in the.
Well, this particular policy, we've been discussing for more than a year, and it doesn't appear to be onerous at all.
No, I agree with you.
Requires us, and requires us or department heads to come up with a plan to get it down.
Okay.
So it's not being, punitive at all. It's saying, hey, come up with some idea on how you're gonna run this down.
Oh, sorry. My peripheral vision wasn't
My
good.
office has a problem when people come in and we mention their comp time to them, and they say, oh, well, I don't have enough vacation time, and I'm going on vacation later this year, so I'm working through lunch. That is said to our office. And it was said by someone that's in a single office like y'all are addressing. So it is allowed, even when, and it shouldn't be, and that's a concern too. And my office sees a lot of this. So you got the people, like our county clerk, who stands by the door with a whip to make sure that they don't earn
She
time.
does not really have a whip in her hand, let's correct that.
But she does watch her office carefully, and then you have those that are, even, should be of a very professional stature that allows their people to work through lunch because they don't have a vacation yet and they're taking one at the end of the year and they don't want to lose time. So
you pointing to me in particular, Laura?
No, I mean, no, they come from the Justice Department, I will say
Well,
that.
let me tell you
So,
that,
that is a problem.
I
Well, I
feel
under-
like my little office had, and they get the brunt of it because I feel like we have to set the example. And my people, if they wanna work through lunch, then I tell them to leave at 4. And if they wanna say, I wanna take Friday off, I tell them, fine, but you do it this week. I do not want this rolling forward. And they've been very good about working with me on
All
it.
of our elected officials, from our district judges down to me, and I feel like I'm the family courthouse. But I'm just saying that our county is all of our elected officials' responsibility, and our budgets are. And again, as Tracy pointed out, all of this is coming out of our taxpayer dollars, which includes me and you and all of us. So, I mean, it is a concern when my office sees this and tries to address it, and they push back in a very rude manner.
Well, I appreciate your office preparing the report for us. And that was a big step just to get that done. It had never really been looked at that way
And we
before.
tried really hard when we see it building up
Yeah.
to work with the department heads, elected officials, whomever, to make them aware that this is an issue that needs to be addressed. And
I'd like to make a motion that we approve this policy as a starting point. We've discussed it for more than a year.
Do you feel like you need to, do it subject to county attorney approval?
I don't know that we need to. This is simply setting, it says, to reach this goal requires every county elected official, department head, or supervisor to implement a plan.
It's your privilege. Make the motion how you feel you should.
I mean, that's how it reads.
Second.
Motion to approve as written, second by Commissioner Knowlton, second by Commissioner Gillespie. Any other discussion? All those in favor, please indicate by raising your right hand. It is unanimous. Number C, review and approve the pets, animals in the workplace policy and add to the county personnel manual, see attached. Commissioner Gillespie?
Okay, Your Honor, thank you. It's been brought to my attention by citizens, other county employees, that there's, animals had been brought to work by a department head, and, I'm not for it myself. A lot of the people that I represent are big time against it. They feel it's not a place to have animals in the workforce. Me being a representative and they come into me, I thought I should bring it up and talk about it. It's been brought up with a lot of different departments and a handful of constituents. So I've done some research on it. I've actually reached out to another county and they said, I'll support you 100%. And not that it matters what another county says, but having animals in a workplace, if they're not service animals and they're certified to be there under code and color, I just don't think it's something that we need to allow to happen. It could be a lawsuit waiting to happen. It's a filth of some that could happen. It's just, I think it's something we need to address. Again, this is something I'm bringing to the table. It's up for y'all to discuss it, but I think it needs to be put into policy to where there's no animals allowed unless it's a service dog. And at that point, it needs to be certified and shown to the reason of.
Again, this is a policy that, and I don't necessarily disagree with you 100%, but if you're going to have a policy, I'd like to review it. I
do know your office was given this.
I think we got it Thursday afternoon or
I don't know, but
Friday.
it was given the fine. It looks good.
Did you review that?
I reviewed it, I don't know about the fine part, but anyway, I didn't review it, we got it Wednesday.
Was it Wednesday? Okay.
Wednesday sometime.
Because I know I looked at it, but I got it when Mr. Persifka sent it to
I'd
us.
like to speak to my feelings on it. I don't know that we have to pass it today. I don't know that we need to rush into it. I think checking with other counties and see what their policies are is a good idea. But I am cognizant that there have been other departments where, and I mean, no offense to your department, but
Go right ahead.
they've said, well, the county attorney's doing it, why can't we bring dogs here? And we don't want, 200 dogs coming to county offices every day.
Right.
We need something.
I understand that. Now, this dog has been coming to my office. It's a trained hunting dog, and it's been coming to my office, Jamie Reed's dog, for about 2 years, maybe longer.
Started with COVID. I know when it started.
Right. And
May
it's
I ask why the dog started coming to the office?
because he wanted to bring the dog. We all love dogs at my office. It sits in his private office, the door shut most of the day, doesn't bark, hasn't ever done anything or destroyed anything. I thought as the elected and the department head, I could certainly give him permission to do that. I don't have a problem. I've never had a complaint from anyone. It's not a public office. Didn't bother me one bit.
I don't think, Ms. Vickers, you being the department head leader and giving directions to your employees is what was at fault. I think it's doing it in a taxpayer's building that is bothering people.
Okay,
It's not a
and
building that you're in charge of. It is a building that is under the commissioners and taxpayers.
I understand
And-
that. However, there's never been any damage or anything that has been done by this one particular dog. I get what you're saying. I understand that. I've never received any complaints. There's never been any damage. You can ask any custodian that works there. Nothing has ever happened. So, I understand this may be directed at Mr. Reed's dog that he brings. I've never had a problem with it. No one's ever discussed it with me particularly, and I get it. The commissioners don't have to do that. So whatever policy you're going to pass,
So my motto, everybody knows it if they've watched our Facebook or whatever, is I always say, what's good for one is good for all.
I understand that.
And how are we gonna direct this if one brings it, but another one brings it and it's not right? Okay, well, why do they get to do it and I don't? Well, I don't know. Here we go. And then, here we go with all of that. And I'm not taking from any kind of breed of dog. But I've got a pit bull that's got a head that big, and I guarantee he's more gentle than that lab that's in your office. But no one here is going to allow me to bring that dog with me. So that causes conflict. What keeps me from getting upset about this? I'm not going to do it because I'm just not going to bring my dog to work. I've got business to run. I don't, that's on him, whatever. But I just don't see it a good idea to bring animals to work unless it's a service animal.
Well, I understand. That certainly is a policy that the county can adopt. At some point, I'm going to.
Something I think we should consider on this is members of the public bringing animals and pets into county offices with them. And we don't have any policy on that.
No, we don't.
That just triggered my thoughts on it about you bringing your dog.
And I will feed off of this. The other county judge I spoke with had brought up to the fact, okay, well, is that dog a service dog? And I said, no, the particular one is not. He said, what are you going to do if this service dog does need to be in the courtroom, and now you have two dogs that smell each other and they do not like each other? What happens then? I don't know.
Well,
he said, what if somebody gets between them? Now you got a lawsuit of that.
Well, this dog but my office is locked. It's not accessible to the public. It's not a public office. There is nobody that goes in there unless we bring them in there. I will tell you that I've been in court and people have brought animals. Whether they're service dogs or not, I don't know. You can buy one of those vests and you can stick it on a dog and you can bring it. That's been an issue in many places. So I'm not sure. I've seen them in court. I've seen them bring animals. I'm in court a lot in lots of different places. I don't know how you would control that, but maybe there would be a way to control it.
Do we not have a policy about taxpayers bringing animals into our facilities?
No.
Okay.
And sadly, most counties don't have to implement this because it's not an issue.
No, I understand, but if,
Because I did reach out to several.
my only suggestion on this, I think we need to implement this, but I think we need to modify it to include the public. So that nobody from the public can bring in an animal unless it's a service dog.
And then are you going to, and this is one of the reasons why I wanted to review it, because when you do that, then you have to have something about, well, how do you determine that? Do you take the person's word for it? Do they have to have a document? Are you requiring them to show?
Here, and it has to be documented.
Has to be documented.
Okay, but then who do you show that to? Who is the person that enforces that? What are the options of what happens if they don't have the document? We gotta be really careful here.
Is there a service dog?
Yeah, especially for a service dog, you gotta be,
How do they vet the service dog brought into the courtroom?
as far as I know, no one does it.
There is none?
Nope, I don't know of
They just
anybody
have
doing.
a uniform on, says they're a service dog, and that's it?
As far as I can tell, the times I've seen it, nobody's questioned it. But there are people that do that. I mean, unfortunately, there are people that do that. I mean, yeah, it's never been an issue, but then nobody's ever come to my office and said, hey, I don't like Jamie's dog sitting in his office. I mean, everybody at my office loves the dog, so didn't bother me.
Whether or not it's in the policy as to who determines what is what, we should have a policy that prohibits bringing animals into our facilities.
Well, it's simple. They just have a doctor's permit. That's what they have to get on an airline with a pet service animal.
Okay, well then who are you gonna authorize? Then you've gotta have some enforcement language.
We have a sheriff that I think would be more than happy to take on this enforcement.
More than happy. More than happy.
He seems thrilled from here.
Hey, it's part of the job.
Okay.
Well, I didn't want to volunteer any of your people to do anything other than what they're already doing, so. Are you? Getting
You know,
voluntold?
The problem is this: when you tip over one rock, there's other rocks underneath, and it just gets more complicated. But if we're gonna do a policy, it needs to be comprehensive, I think.
And that's why I'd like to review it and maybe,
I think, Chief,
poor Henry.
Dominguez wanted to speak to this also, or may want to answer some questions. I think there's some issues with your department as well.
Go ahead.
In my department with pets?
I don't know.
Oh, I got about 100 of them.
Yeah.
You want me to get rid of them? I'll be
No, not
more than
the ones
happy.
in the cages, no.
Okay. So one of the things we have to,
Yours may be the bringing children to work, I'm not sure.
okay. So one of the things that we need to address on this issue, make sure that we respect federally protected rights. That's one of the issues. It's always one of the things that people bring up when they go to the store, for example. When the employee addresses them, right away they say, well, I'm federally protected. You can't ask me or whatever. So in this policy, we need to be sure to clarify that. Is how do we determine what classifies as an emotional support pet or a service animal? And if so, what documentation can we legally ask them?
Well, the airlines had problems with this too. People were bringing service snakes and ferrets. And,
Right, correct.
You know, but no, they shut it down. They just said, no, that means a dog.
There's a difference between a service dog and an emotional support animal.
Yes, ma'am.
That's two completely separate things.
Correct. And that's one of the things that we hear a lot of. It's my emotional support pet. So that's what blurs the lines of to what's federally protected and what's not. So in this policy, we need to make sure that it is defined as what is actually federally protected and what is not, so that the bailiffs can be able to understand that this qualifies and this doesn't. And so when this person goes against their lawyer and says, I was offended or I was
Denied my rights.
right, then we can,
Federal law that are protected, that's what I'm getting at, is we better be sure we are very careful when we're talking about instituting policies, about those kinds of things. And we have to be careful, especially when we apply it to the public, and even apply it to the employees. We need to define our terms. And I know a lot of people think that the lawyers are picky, but we're real picky because we've been in lawsuits involving these very things. And I'm just telling you, that's.
And we're also trying to keep us from getting in a lawsuit on these particular things.
and that's what we're bringing it up, because I haven't read the policy, so I'm not sure if it's in there or not, the verbiage is in there, but we certainly want to include it in there to be sure that our bailiffs aren't in that position where they're like, well, can I or can't I, you know? And then it becomes a YouTube video, you know, we don't want that, so.
So we need to add that verbiage to this policy.
Yeah.
I haven't read the policy, I don't know.
How do you want to proceed on this then?
That's probably not going to do it. I'm guessing.
Yeah,
Well,
I would refer that to
I'm
the attorneys.
inclined that we should pass this policy subject to the addition of the verbiage, because what you have right now, if you have employees bringing animals to work, and that's what we're trying to stop, or that's what's proposed to be stopped. Now, the issue with the public, this should be added and reviewed, but immediately we should implement the policy regarding our employees.
Well, but are you going to have a policy, are the employees going to have, you haven't defined emotional support dogs or service dogs or anything like that in the employee policy either. I mean,
Well, it does, it says requested
No,
of
it
a
says
service
according
dog.
to statute, yada, yada, yada. Whatever that statute says.
Well,
As
don't
defined
ever
by-
tell a lawyer whatever that statute says, because we'll have a heart attack. So, I'm just telling you that,
I'm saying that because I didn't look it up. I don't know what it says.
so what I'm telling you is that if you're gonna, it would be,
True confession.
in my opinion, it would be better, if we did a comprehensive policy regarding animals in the buildings, if you're concerned about animals in the buildings as the commissioner's court. And while I understand what you're saying, Commissioner Knowlton, I think you've got to be careful because you may have employees that also have, I don't know that we have any, but I'm not going to speak for the whole county saying we don't have any emotional support or,
I don't know what emotional support is.
I don't either. But in this particular policy defines a service dog. So the exception right here is service dog. Now, if we need to modify this, I'm not arguing with you, but we can pass this subject to future modifications. I don't see any issue with this, do you?
I don't, because to me, no means no, and you just ain't gonna bring a dog to work, but
Right.
that's, I mean,
I agree, there are other issues that we need to expand
I'm
upon.
sorry, I'm more
No, I
plain
get it.
language.
I'm just telling you that why do you, lawyers have created laws that are in books this tall, and
I
that's
get
what I'm
that.
telling you.
I get that, but I mean.
You gotta be
come on.
careful with, this particular issue is you've gotta be careful, because we are involving some federal
If they
rights.
gotta have a service dog or they gotta have a support dog, they gotta have documentation saying they need it from a doctor. Show your doctor's receipt or whatever you got, and we'll use it
No
for an
problem.
excuse, but it better be legit. I don't see it where it's just, I
But-
mean,
And the
Okay,
way
so
this is
who's-
written with proper documentation, blah, blah, blah.
Okay, well, what does that mean, proper documentation, and who's going to be enforcing it? Who's checking the documentation?
Well, I think we
And
already.
so under what rules are you checking the documentation? Who's responsible for checking the documentation?
We covered
Is the
that.
department head or the elected
The
responsible?
initial one would be the department head, but in a legal building where there's a bailiff, it's the bailiffs. I think the sheriff agreed to that.
Okay, so.
But if you, again, if we need to expand upon this, I have no issue with it. But we need to implement a policy.
Well, I don't disagree with
And
implementing.
we shouldn't delay this for legal review, which may take how long?
I don't know, a couple of weeks, maybe?
Yeah, I guess do it to me, yes.
Maybe.
I can have it done next.
But you could also have an amendment to this done in a couple of weeks, correct?
I could do all kinds of, yes. I could do
That's my point. If this is not comprehensive enough, that's great. We'll task the attorney or whoever you decide is going to do it with the task of expanding and getting the proper verbiage for emotional support, which is not covered.
Do you want us to give you guidance as to how that's going to be enforced? Who's responsible for enforcing it? Who's the one that looks at the documents? What happens if the department head, says, if the department head is satisfied, is there anybody that's going to be checking that? And this is why people love lawyers.
Not exactly.
I was being facetious, obviously, but
I think
I'm just pointing out the things that are going to come up. I
That's
promise
fine.
you.
Initially, we get our policy in place, and then if we need to expand upon it or modify it, I have no issue with that. The issue is bringing dogs to work, period. That's it.
Okay, man, City Mayor, for a second.
Go ahead, Henry.
So one of the things that I could suggest is that maybe we do divide the two, from a public policy to employee policy, because as an employee policy, as employers, we're more able to enforce that. When it comes to public policy,
Great.
that's something that's going to be a little more wider ranging, because again, you have issues with the public. I mean, trust me, I know. I've been to Walmart when these people bringing in these dogs that obviously aren't. But the minute an employee asks them, boy, they throw a fit and they get their phone out and they start doing that whole
I
thing.
think that's what I'm proposing, because
So-
it's written for employees.
Right. I think that would
And
clarify things better for
The county
us
attorney's
as
point about
department heads.
expanding upon that,
And
I
then
agree
maybe
with.
as well for the sheriff's office, so that they understand it originally, and it could be expanded later on to include the public as well. But I would imagine that we have to respect the laws and the regulations as far as federally protected rights. So that's just my recommendation, whatever you guys want to do.
There may also be some circumstances under which the person is not required to provide documentation. I mean, we're going to have to, I'm not familiar enough with the federal statutes. We're gonna have to go look at that. So that's why I don't like, please refer to this statute. But in any event, I think we've discussed that. I don't have anything else to say except that I really would prefer for us to have a full policy in place. If the commissioners would like to pass it as is, subject to amendment, that's fine. I mean, that's up to you. That's just I'm giving you my opinion.
Now, and I think we need to be, I'm all for the public policy, but we don't want to light up animal activists.
No.
That's a bad idea.
That's a bad idea.
But we do have the right to regulate how our employees operate.
Absolutely, and what the public can bring in too, because it affects.
Well, I mean, but there are other issues involved in that.
Yes.
And I agree
Yes,
with that.
Yes, and the public issue, the matter of verification, all of that would involve bailiffs, it could involve, in the JPs, it could involve constables and the other offices. In tax office, Loretta will be the policing officer. Oh, hi, Loretta.
Yeah.
And, so what's the pleasure of Commissioner's Court?
I'm just trying to figure out how to word it here so it's not wrong.
Well, you can,
Because we're given different scenarios here. I just want to make sure.
well,
we're
the
on the right one.
policy is written for our employees. So if we pass it, you can say, you move it, we approve it for our employees, and we ask the county attorney to review it for application to the public at a future date.
Is that your motion?
That's my motion.
Perfect. Motion by Commissioner Knowlton to pass the policy as written in the agenda, subject to.
No, and.
Not subject.
And instruct the county attorney to review it for application to the public in the future, as soon as possible.
For amendment for how it applies to the public in the future?
Yes, sir.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second, Commissioner Gillespie. Discussion? Anything else? All right, all those in favor, please indicate by raising your right hand. Motion carries. That brings us to children in the workplace. Review and approve children in the workplace policy, add to the Atascosa County Personnel Manual. I know, Ms. Vickers, you said you had to go somewhere, that's why I moved it up.
Yes, I don't have as really, except for, we did get this on short notice. I have reviewed it. I don't particularly, at this point, on the brief amount of time I was able to look at it, I mean, you can do the same thing with the other one if you want to pass it as is and give us more of a chance to look at it. I don't have as many questions or concerns about this particular policy as I did some of the other ones.
Okay.
So unless you have questions, you can ask Trent. I need to go to my conference.
Do you have some situations with children in the workplace, Chief Dominguez?
Not that I'm aware of, but I think I was advised that might be an issue.
It was brought to my attention.
Okay.
What, do you want to open the line item?
Yeah, you need to
Open the, you never read it.
read the agenda item.
Oh, I'm sorry. Review and approve children in the workplace policy and add to the Atascosa County Personnel Manual. See attached.
Okay, Mr. Dominguez, it was brought to my attention a few months back that you had one of your employees bring in a bunch of their kids, I say a bunch, I don't know, number of kids to work, and one of your other staff was irritable by it. The kids were running by, hitting the little bell in the front, and they would walk to the front, and it would be nobody but a child up there that, you know, was there for, instead of going to daycare or something. And I was told, I don't know, but it was, these kids were at your premises because they didn't want to pay for daycare. It was so expensive. So they were giving it a whirl to see what they could do. And since then, I don't know if it's an issue with all the other departments, but with the dogs and everything, it's just maybe we need to implement on trying to get this resolved before it turns into something.
Sure. So I do have a policy on it, not a policy, written policy, but a verbal policy, that my employees are not allowed to be a daycare. We're not a daycare. There have been a few instances where they had a day issue, you know, wasn't a permanent issue, where they came for a couple of hours while they were in between babysitters. One of my employees also, her babysitter is actually a volunteer at our facility. It may have been that she was there at that time that this person came by, and of course she has the kids, but then she was there for briefly and then left. So Kids do stop and visit their parents on occasion, including my own. You know, they stop by for a few minutes, walk around and stuff. And we are also open to the public, and we're also a public volunteer station. So I also have kids coming in to volunteer that do a lot of stuff in there from different civic organizations. So in my department, it's not really an issue. Now, I did make it a point that we're not a daycare to my employees. They cannot be bringing their children to work in order to circumvent the daycare process.
So you agree with this policy, no kids in the workplace?
Well, I mean, I haven't read the policy yet. I haven't had a chance to see it, but I would assume.
Essentially says no kids in the workplace.
So we're talking about, like, can they stop and visit for a few minutes? I mean, is that permissible?
I haven't read it, so.
Yeah, I haven't read it either. So that's the only thing I would be concerned about, is that if kids can't stop and say hi to mom and dad, you know, I mean, I understand they have work to do, but certainly not run through not stay at the department for more than an hour or two.
I don't think it's more that they're dropping by and saying hi, or, hey, Mom, can I grab some lunch money from you, or something.
Right,
It's,
right.
I'm gonna take you to work with me today because I got nowhere else to put you.
Sure.
And they show up in the car with Mom at 8 and they leave at 5. That's the issue that if it's gonna be an issue, that's the one that I want to try to resolve.
I agree with that.
And may not be a particular issue, but it needs to be in our handbook.
Sure.
And it's either gonna happen tomorrow or it's gonna happen next year.
Mm-hmm.
But what are we gonna do if we don't have anything in there? And I'm gonna use my road crew, the road and bridge road crew. I got 12 men.
Mm-hmm.
What am I gonna do if I got 12 men show up with their kids
Yeah.
all in one day?
Sure.
We're out. They're not gonna go get on heavy equipment. They can't, they won't.
Correct.
And so now what? Precinct 1 is shut down. I can't tell them they can't because there's nothing for me to implement into it. So therefore, and I'm looking at you, that's just because you're at the podium.
That's okay.
But
That's all right. I understand.
I'm talking to the commissioners here, but we gotta have something in effect to head this off. Just be proactive.
So I did read it while he was talking.
Okay.
The exceptions are authorized.
Sir, I'm sorry.
There are exceptions authorized.
Okay.
You, as a supervisor, may make an exception,
Sure.
but the general policy is no kids in the workplace.
And I agree on an extended amount of time. So in other words, you know, not all day, like you say, showing up in the morning and taking a moment at night. I would not agree with that.
Okay.
That's something that I wouldn't allow in my department.
Let me read the last,
To review, like all the rest of them, make sure we've got all of our things in order of who and what.
Oh, yeah,
and
yeah.
why.
Yeah?
Yeah, I don't know if it's in there or not, but maybe a time limitation is 2-3 hours. I don't know, an hour to have lunch with a parent.
Well, again, my suggestion would be to pass the policy and then have the county attorney and personnel person review it for completeness and legality. So that would be my motion, Your Honor.
Second.
you have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All those in favor, please indicate by raising your right hand. Motion carries.
Thank you,
for your time, Chief. All right, we're going to go back to Ms. Holly. Thank you for waiting. Number 6, discuss and take appropriate action concerning an agreement between Atascosa County and the City of Lytle to take over collecting the City of Lytle's taxes and direct the county judge to sign.
Yes,
This will not commence until around February of next year. Ms. Holly.
yes, good morning. Lytle City's been trying to send it over here for a while now, and it's finally happening, so, the city just wants a contract that y'all have already approved before I give it to them. I've sent them a copy of it already, but he wants to show them
County
approved.
attorney's already looked at it.
It's the standard one we've always used. I'm pretty sure they're the ones who wrote it to start with.
Just making sure.
If they want to, I'm okay with that. We've got time.
You made a motion?
No words are changed.
I move approved.
All right?
Second.
Same contract with no changes?
I did put in there that we would do nothing retroactive for the city because they're in a big mess right now.
Okay.
And I'm not gonna take that on with what the mess they've got going now.
Whatever changes were on the record.
That's the only
Motion
thing
by
I did.
Commissioner Knowlton, second by Commissioner Perez. Discussion, all those in favor, please indicate by raising your right hand. Motion carries. I'm sorry, was there something else?
Second by Riley.
By him.
Oh, I'm sorry. Commissioner Riley. That second was by Commissioner Riley. Next, we have Ms. Holly. 7, discuss and take appropriate action to accept the presentation 2022 tax rate worksheets for Atascosa County General Tax Rate and Atascosa County Farm to Market Lateral Roads Tax Rate. Ms. Holly.
Okay, I have figured up the rates. They of course went down, but the values went up substantially. So, for GAT, the no new revenue is 0.436662, and the voter approval rate is 0.450215.
Do you have a handout for us?
I do. I just made two. Y'all want to pass them around or something? Well, maybe I have three. Somebody can share.
Sure.
Thank you.
Oh, maybe I just.
You better keep one to read.
I was gonna say, I think.
But you
I
can give
just
it to me
have
after you're done.
This is FMLR only. What did you get? GAT?
I've got the JT.
I have GAT.
Well, I have two FMLRs and two GATs, so however y'all want.
You need this one back?
I'm good with however y'all want to do it.
You want to read?
No, I've got some. I've got one. So then for FM and LR, the no new revenue is 0.081226, and voter approval 0.084528. And it looks like the taxable value, once you get to it, what the appraisal district sends to it, you have to add and minus a whole lot of things before you get to the real amount that's taxable. Let's see, it looks like it was 825 million more this year in values than last year.
And we don't qualify for the de minimis rate, right?
Well, the de minimis rate is in there, but that
don't
usually will
qualify.
bite you next year if you
Yeah.
use it.
I got a question for, maybe you can answer. If somebody were to calculate their taxes, what rate would they use, based upon what you've just done? If a taxpayer wanted to look and say, oh, my value went up 100 grand, what am I gonna pay this year?
I would go with the higher rate, because I don't know what any entity is setting it right now. Right now, when people call because they send out that little card that has my information on it, that's a legislative thing that the appraisal district has to mail out. It has no information but to call me. We have no information right now because no one has set their rates. So if they're very insistent that I have to do that, which I don't have time to do it for the whole county, but I will use this past year's rates and this year's value. That's what I go off of right now,
Okay.
just as an estimate. And that's about 90 phone calls a day we get on that.
Imagine.
Yeah. No exaggeration.
Do we have to do anything with this? 'Cause are we,
We have to accept it.
Just there's the rates, and then y'all have to figure out what rate you want to set.
that's
At
later
another
though,
time.
right?
You have to accept this before we can even consider what. we're
Discuss,
going to set.
yeah. I move
If
that
somebody
we
else
accept
wants
the
to look at them,
report.
these are my copies, but Mark, you want to look at these or
I just
anything?
want to make sure they're not going to have something before I make my motion,
Okay.
or you, whoever.
Okay, go ahead.
You make a motion to accept it?
I did, yes.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Second, Commissioner Gillespie. This does not include the bond rate, does it? It's added to this?
What's added? No, nothing's added.
The bond rate
Your
is included?
debt rate? No,
Rates included there.
it's in there.
It's in here.
Part of the GAP.
That's
Right.
my question. It's part of the GAT?
Yeah, you can't add to it.
So at a later time,
I will bring
we
that.
actually vote on a rate.
Then you break it down.
Okay.
That's right. We have a motion and a second. Thank you for your work.
Yes,
Ms.
sir.
Holly. Do we have any other discussion or questions? All those in favor, please indicate by raising your right hand. Motion carries.
I'm glad you're getting all those calls too.
Thank you very much.
them y'all's numbers soon.
Yeah. Do you need these back, or can we keep these?
No, I just made my.
We'll just have to call you.
Huh?
We're firm to you.
Yeah.
I have a request. Could you email me these?
I will.
Both?
I can email all of y'all.
Thank you.
That'd be better.
Thank you. All right. Motion carries. Number 8, Daniela Martinez. Discuss and take appropriate action concerning personnel.
Good morning, Judge and Commissioners.
I believe I can do the first 4 together.
Yes, sir.
Is that all right if
Yes,
I
sir.
read them? I'm glad you found some guards. Is it politically incorrect to call them guards?
Yes, sir.
Juvenile
It's okay.
supervision officer.
We just have to wait for the remaining of the background stuff, so keeping my fingers crossed.
New employee Kimberly Kubish, position juvenile supervision officer 1, pay rate $41,000 annually, tier 1. New employee Marisol Castillon, position juvenile. It's all the same. Budget area is 039-400-562. Drug tests are pending. Do you want to make the start date 8/1 or do you want to make it 8/15?
We can make it 8/1, and when everything gets approved, they can start. It saves them on their insurance, their 60 days.
It shortens the waiting time on insurance. Okay,
do
so
that.
we're,
They won't be paid, excuse me, but they won't be paid when they actually start physically.
but
Right.
they'll have no money accrued, of course. Yeah.
Right.
Then the first 4, we need a motion to approve, but we're changing the start date to 08/01/2022.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Perez,
Second.
motion by Commissioner Riley, second by Commissioner Riley. Discussion, all those in favor, please indicate by raising your right hand. Motion carries. New employee, Edward Flores, position juvenile supervision officer 1, pay rate $43,000 annually, tier 2, salary budget area 039-400-562. Physical drug test is pending. Start date, we'll change that to 08, that's a new employee, 08/01/2022.
Yes, sir. The only difference with this one is he's worked at the facility years ago in the past, so he has experience. He's also currently working TDC. He's been there for 5 years. And also, he kind of wanted to match his pay, which I think we were able to work out at putting him at tier 2.
Motion by Commissioner Riley.
Is he gonna be a full-time employee
Yes, sir.
and still keep the TDC?
Oh, no, I'm sorry. He's going to quit that job and come work with us. Yes, sir.
We need a second.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Perez. Discussion. All those in favor, please indicate by raising your right hand. Thank you, Ms. Martinez.
Thank you so much. Appreciate
Keep
it.
them moving.
Yes, sir.
Number 9, Laura Pavelic, discuss and take action concerning approving publication of July 2022 Treasurer's Report in order in the Pleasant Express newspaper and county website. Good morning, Ms. Pavelic.
Good morning. As you read, I just need your approval to publish the treasurer's report in the paper and on our website.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Gillespie, second by Commissioner Riley. Discussion. All those in favor, please indicate by raising your right hand. Motion carries. Thank you, ma'am.
I'm not through yet.
You're not through yet. You are not through yet, are you? 10, discuss and take appropriate action concerning renewing the lease on the mailing machine with the Y-Wait program and direct the county judge to sign. The current lease expires January 2023, but we can sign the Y-Wait agreement and get new equipment now. We continue to pay current payment until January 2023. The new payment will be $252.76 monthly or $758.25 quarterly. Ms. Pavilion.
Our lease that we have on our mailing machine is up in January, and we have Quadrant, who provides our equipment, came in, and we did look at some others, but Quadrant was more upfront with their pricing than the other company. That's who we have. They offer a Y-Weight program. If you agree to it, then we will get the new mailing machine, which we need. We've pretty much wore the other one out. And we continue to pay the old pricing, which is actually lower than the new pricing, until January. And in January, they will go up then to the new amount. All of the paperwork that is required, and it is on buy board or whatever that term is, will go through Tracy. She is aware of it.
So when you're saying quarterly or monthly or quarterly,
Well,
are you
we
asking
pa-
our opinion on that, or?
No, we pay on a quarterly basis, but I wanted to tell you what it was monthly, but we pay on a quarterly basis.
Move for approval.
Motion by Commissioner Gillespie, second by Commissioner Riley. Discussion. All those in favor, please indicate by raising your right hand. Motion carries.
Thank you,
Now,
and
thank you, Ms. Pavelic.
Thank you. I'm sure all the ladies that are offices, rather, that use the mailing machine will approve it too. Thank you.
Thank you. Number 11, Diane Gonzalez, discuss and take appropriate action concerning the memorandum of understanding, MOU, between Atascosa County and EPN in order to move forward with e-recording. Ms. Gonzalez.
Yes, sir. We had signed a couple of months ago, some contracts similar to that for two other companies, and unfortunately, one of them backed out on them. So this is a new company, it's no cost to the county, but it does help us with the e-recording process.
No cost?
No cost.
Move for approval.
Motion by Commissioner Gillespie,
Second.
second by Commissioner Hamilton. Discussion. All those in favor, please indicate by raising your right hand. Motion carries. Number 12, Sheriff Sauer. Good morning, Sheriff.
Good morning.
Read the first one.
Yes, sir, please.
Discuss and take appropriate action concerning personnel. Existing employee Dylan Wins, position corporal, corrections officer, pay rate $46,160 annual, $120 a month uniform, $150 holiday, $171 fluctuating pay period. Pay program, salary budget area 012-442-562. Physical drug test not applicable. Start date 08/01/2022. Sure.
Yes, Mr. Wins is just being promoted up from corrections officer to a corporal in corrections at the salary stated effective August 1st.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Gillespie, second by Commissioner Perez. Discussion. All those in favor, please indicate by raising your right hand. Motion carries. Next, discuss and take appropriate action concerning personnel. Existing employee Joshua Ruiz, position investigator, pay rate $55,000 annual, $120 a month uniform, 171 hour fluctuating. Pay program, no holiday pay. Salary budget area ARP funds, physical drug test not applicable. Start date 09/01/2022.
Yes, sir. If y'all remember last year, y'all approved this position as part of a South Texas Sheriff's Criminal Interdiction Unit. It was never started. We've been waiting for that unit to start, and there were some problems in Bexar County, and now I'm beginning to believe it's not going to happen. And basically, to simplify this request, it's the exact same thing that was approved by y'all for this year's budget, except instead of working in multiple counties with other agencies, Investigator Ruiz, who's a patrol deputy right now, would just be working the same type of activity in Atascosa County only.
So the task force not going to gel?
It doesn't look like it. Now, that could change, but I'm beginning to think it's not.
And Mr. Ruiz will be just assigned to narcotics and stuff like that?
He'll be assigned to criminal interdiction, which is not just narcotics, it's all kind of criminal activity moving down the highways.
So this is coming out of ARP funds. What happens next year?
I was told by the auditor that it would be put into next year's budget.
If approved by commission.
If, of course. Always that, yes.
Always approved by court.
So we went 8 months of this year and we didn't spend any of it.
Well, yeah, there was a grant or something that's expired, or on the other one, wasn't there some
It never
sort?
came to be, correct?
A grant? I'm
There was
not
no
aware of
grant?
any grant.
Of the task force position?
No, it was not a grant.
I don't remember the grant
Anything to
either,
do with a
but I
grant?
heard there was a grant, so I just clarified. I don't
No, sir.
remember any conversation
No,
about
sir.
grant.
Not necessarily a grant, it was like, it was a joint.
It was a joint effort between, it was gonna be 4 or 5 counties, from Bear County south and east. But like I said, it did not materialize. There were some problems in Bear County. Sheriff Salazar getting his officers approved for it. So right now it's still pending, and I think I would like to use it in our county.
Now, vehicles, lights, radios, all of that, you will have all of that, right?
Yes, sir. I've purchased a Tahoe with forfeited funds and equipment also with that, so that will be at no expense to the county.
This Officer Ruiz is your current K-9 officer,
Correct.
correct? So he knows the system, he's already here. You're just moving him out of that to this?
Right, and moving him
So if
from,
the ARP dissolves and we don't approve that, he could simply go back to where you currently have him.
right, that is correct.
So you don't plan to fill it in, right? His old position?
Yes, I do.
Oh, you do plan
do.
to fill it in?
Okay.
Okay, do we have a motion?
It's approved. Move for approval.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Riley,
Second.
second by Commissioner Gillespie. Discussion. All those in favor, please indicate by raising your right hand. Motion carries. Thank you. We'll do the next two together, if that's all right, Sheriff. They look the same. to
Yes,
me.
sir, that's correct.
Discuss and take appropriate action concerning personnel. New employee, Malia Sotelo, position corrections officer, pay rate tier 3, 41,062.61 annual, 171 hour fluctuating pay program, $120 a month uniform, $150 a month holiday, 90-day probation, 1 year agency probation, salary budget area 012442562, physical drug test pending, start date 08/01. Do we want to make the 01 for hospitalization purposes, insurance purposes?
Yeah, they just won't be starting to work to the 15th.
Yeah, but
I understand.
they only have 45 days then for their insurance. And the last one's included with that one is discuss and take appropriate action concerning personnel. New employee Marco Garcia, and all data I read for Maya Sotelo is duplicated for Marco Garcia.
Yes, it's 2 correction officers positions we're trying to fill. We still have 3 other openings, trying to get fully staffed. We are starting them at tier 3 to get to tier 2 after a 90-day probation, and to get to tier 1, they'll have to complete their obtain their jailer's license before they can get to tier 1.
Move for approval for both.
Second.
Motion to approve for both of them, second by Commissioner Perez. Discussion. All those in favor, please indicate by raising your right hand. Motion carries. Number 13, Sheriff Sauer, discuss and take appropriate action to accept the quarterly report of income from out-of-county inmate housing. Sir.
Yes, sir. This is a quarterly report for the second quarter of 2022, which is April, May, and June, on income from Kendall and Hayes County primarily, and June from Kendall, Hayes, Medina, and McMullen, for a total of $157,150.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Gillespie, second by Commissioner Riley. Discussion. All those in favor, please indicate by raising your right hand. Motion carries.
And Friday, I got a check in from Hayes County for $48,500. I'm gonna turn it over to Laura here this morning.
Do we need to add that to it, or is that
No,
part
sir.
of? That's part of it? Okay.
Number 14, I think.
Number 14, discuss and/or take appropriate action to accept the report of commission. I was just calculating the 157,000 times 4, and it seems like that's down a little bit. Is it, are you seeing? You said that's first half, I mean times 2.
Yeah, it might be down a little bit, and there was a period of time when we had an outbreak of COVID in the jail that we did ship.
You had to shut it down?
Well, we shipped about 15 of Hayes County back until we got that under control and then brought them back.
That's what you got to do?
Yes, sir.
All right, well, just, I'm not trying to criticize, I was just curious, because
It's gonna fluctuate because
Yeah.
sometimes they pull people out and then we gotta wait for them to bring some back.
I wish we had Wilson County's deal, but if you don't know what their deal is on out-of-county prisoners, I'll tell you sometime, but it's
Yeah.
a sweet deal.
Yeah.
It has to do with federal prisoners.
Oh, I know,
Yeah.
and we used to hold federal prisoners years and years ago, but they haven't requested to put anybody in our facility in over 15 years, so.
They pay about twice as much as.
I understand that.
Yeah, but that's a shame that they got in there ahead of us.
Yes, sir.
But that's okay. That's the way it is. Did we have a motion, did we approve that?
Yes.
Okay. And then we need to accept the report of commission from inmate telephone service for the first half of 2022. Sure.
Yeah, yes, this is just showing Commissioners Court how much money has been brought in from inmate telephone service. I switched companies a couple of years ago to a company called NCIC, which most companies pay the same commission basically by law, but their program was much more simpler for inmates' family to use. Therefore, it does generate more phone calls. They put a kiosk in the lobby to allow family members to put money in the inmate's account to make phone calls, which obviously generates more money. This is money that goes to the general fund.
And how much was it?
For the first half of the year, $56,354.14.
All right, thank you. No actions needed on that?
Not with me unless.
It's in the account already, right?
It's in the bank.
It's in the county account already.
It's in the bank, yes, sir.
Yes, sir. All right, anything else?
That's all.
All right, well, thank you very much, Sheriff.
Thank you.
15, Brittany Van Kuren, discuss and take appropriate action concerning the approval of LSA Sports subdivision on Road 3350 in Precinct 4. Ms. Van Kuren.
Morning. This is a very simple subdivision. It's 3 acres being cut out of a larger tract of land for the purpose of a new commercial development, or rather, not development, it's just one single business, but it's just very simple, 3 acre cut out in Precinct 4.
Could you identify where that is on 3350?
Okay, 3350, like from Taylor Road, you know, the Cowboy Fellowship is?
Yeah.
It'd be east of it, maybe.
It's at Taylor Road and 3350?
Yeah, that's.
It's further east from Taylor
It's
Road
further
on
east from
3350.
Taylor Road.
It's closer into Pleasanton.
On the south side of the road?
It's on the north side of
North
the
side
road.
of the road.
North. It's on the north side of the road.
It's a part of Joe McDaniel's.
Oh, I'll get a
Take
demerit.
it, confiscate his phone. There's a sign that says $100 fine right up
there. It's on the wall.
All right, send me the bill.
We want that money in the bank.
Sorry about that.
That's how he paid himself.
So you said it's on the left side of the road?
No, if you're
It's on
going-
the north side of the road.
Going west from Pleasanton, you know, it'd be on the right-hand side of the
So
road.
north side of the road.
It is on the
Corner
north
of
side
Joe
of the road.
McDaniel's.
just past Taylor, going,
Is this late this time?
going west.
Yes, yes.
So you move for approval?
So the floodplains are good?
Yeah, there's no floodplain, there's no drainage concerns, nothing at all. And they will be getting with TxDOT on their driveway permits and all those things.
I'll move for approval.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Riley, second by Commissioner Knowlton. Somebody just selling a piece off their property, is that what they're doing?
Yes, sir. McDaniels?
No issues?
No, sir.
All right, any other discussion or questions? All those in favor, please indicate by raising your right hand. Motion carries. Thank you, ma'am.
Do you have a question?
No, I didn't. I was just curious where it was located.
Commissioner Knowlton, 18. No,
Actually, I
that's
got-
not right. I
I've
skipped
got one on
Commissioner.
16.
I just saw it. Number 16, Commissioner Gillespie. Discuss and take appropriate action concerning issue McCoy Water Supply Corporation a permit for a road bore located in Precinct 1 at 64 Bright Road, Pleasanton, for Perry Anderson. Commissioner Gillespie.
Yes, Your Honor, thank you. McCoy Water has reached out to me, and I gave them a verbal go-ahead on this, so the project is already complete. I just wanted to get it into the next agenda so that it would be on the record. Everything looks great. Move for approval.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Gillespie, second by Commissioner Knowlton. Discussion, all those in favor, please indicate by raising your right hand. Motion carries. We've already done 17, so 18, Commissioner Knowlton, discuss and take appropriate action concerning personnel. New employee Louis H. Macias, Jr., position, Precinct 2, equipment operator, pay rate $39,510 annually, salary budgetary $022,400,402, physical drug test pending, start date 08/15/2022.
Laura, does that need to be the first? He's not gonna start till the 15th.
It can be the first if he doesn't get paid until he starts.
Okay,
That's better for your employee to do that.
okay. That's what I'd like to do.
Okay, so we changed the reading of the agenda item on the start date to 08/01/2022. And we have a motion and a second.
Yes, and I want to clarify, the agenda says 39,510 annually, but the,
Yeah, it's supposed to be 39,520 is what's on the.
39,520 annually. So we have the two technical corrections to agenda item 18 on the hiring of new employee Louis H. Macias. Pay rate is 39,520.00, and the start date is 08/01/2022.
I have one more comment. This actually fulfills my compliment. If you recall, for the next budget year, we've transferred 3 positions to Precinct 2. This is my 9th body. So I'll leave 3 open for the rest of the year.
Okay. We have a motion and a second, do we?
Yes.
Discussion, all those in favor, please indicate by raising your right hand. Motion carries. Then 19, Commissioner Perez, discuss and take appropriate action concerning issuing McCoy Water Supply Corporation a permit for a road bore located in Precinct 3 at 1082 West CR 326, Jordan, for Leah Lopez.
Thank you,
Commissioner
Judge.
Perez.
I have talked to McCoy Water Supply, and they've agreed to our terms and conditions, so I move for approval.
Motion by Commissioner Perez, second by Commissioner Riley. Discussion, all those in favor, please indicate by raising your right hand. Motion carries. Commissioner Riley, number 20, discuss take appropriate action concerning issuing McCoy Water Supply Corporation a permit for a road bore located in Precinct 4 at 4985 Corgi Road, Pleasanton, for Denero Land and Cattle, LC. Commissioner Riley.
Thank you, Judge. Yeah, I went to look at this area, and I gave him approval. So I move to approve this.
Motion by Commissioner Riley for approval.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Perez. Discussion, all those in favor, please indicate by raising your right hand. Motion carries. Number 21, under my name, discuss and take appropriate action concerning reading and adopting a resolution disapproving the Atascosa Central Appraisal District's 2023 budget. We voted this down in the last meeting, but we need to send a resolution to the, signed by all commissioners and myself to the appraisal district with notification of disapproval of the budget. I'm going to read the resolution into the record. Whereas the Atascosa County Commissioners Courts are elected to sit in trust for their diverse communities, and in that capacity are charged with meeting the community's expectations for local county governance and responsible spending. Whereas the Atascosa Central Appraisal District, ACAD, held a public hearing, adopted their 2023 budget on July 21, 2022, and submitted said budget to Atascosa County for consideration. Whereas pursuant to state law, Atascosa County must consider ACAD's budget, and whereas in the event Atascosa County does not approve, it must indicate this action via a resolution, and whereas Texas Property Code 6.06 states if governing bodies of a majority of the taxing units entitled to vote on the appointment of board members adopt resolutions disapproving the budget and file them with the Secretary of the Board within 30 days after its adoption. The budget does not take effect. The board shall adopt new budget within 30 days of the disapproval. Whereas the Commissioners Court of Atascosa County found to be in the public interest to disapprove said proposed budget is indicated below. Now therefore be it resolved by the Commissioners Court of Atascosa County, Texas, that the Atascosa Central Appraisals District's 2023 budget, that provisions being as set forth in Exhibit A, attached hereto and incorporated by reference, is hereby approved.
Disapproved.
I'm sorry, disapproved. Thank you very much. Passed and approved on this 8th day of August 2022. Thank you for the correction when I was especially trying to read it in to make sure there could be no complaint about us not reading it into the record.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Gillespie.
I'll second, but
Second.
there's a spelling error.
Where, you got typo?
Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Fifth paragraph, the word within, or within is what it says.
Within 30 days?
Yeah,
Oh,
it's-
within.
Yeah, within.
Within 30 days, yeah. Okay, we'll get that fixed, and then
And-
if you'll go to the office to sign it, we'll get it fixed.
Okay, and just for discussion, and we need to ask Trent if we can do this because we're talking about the budget. There is an alternative budget that the judge and the auditor worked on, and provided that the entities disapprove it, 50% of them or more, I recommend that the court present this budget to the appraisal district, the one that Ms. Barrera and Judge Hurley worked on.
I'm sorry, I'm not quite understanding what you want me to do. That this court present it to the appraisal district?
Provided that more than 50% disapprove, that we present the alternative budget to the
Oh,
appraisal.
I'm sorry, I'm with you. All right, so you're,
Yeah, we're gonna approve this, but in addition to
I
that
think
comment,
that's
if
just
that's
up for-
appropriate.
you want to add that to the motion?
Yes, sir, if I can.
To,
Not on the agenda,
if,
though.
if.
It is,
more-
it's the budget.
If more
That's
than
why I did that.
51%, that we submit the new budget. We can do it, and we could also do a second motion under the same agenda item, couldn't we, Trent? Why don't we do that?
Okay, that's fine.
The point is, well, let's just vote on this. Commissioner Gillespie, you are chewing on something.
No, I'll make a motion to pass the, that you just read, but I want to leave that separate on a different.
Okay, that's,
Okay. Do we have a
and I seconded it.
And you seconded it. All right. Discussion? All those in favor, please indicate by raising your right hand. It's unanimous.
So in conjunction with the same agenda item, according to the attorney, we may address this.
Yeah, you can, why don't you make a motion that, and to indicate your disapproval, which is conjoined with this budget item, that at 50%.
Can we do that even if it's not an agenda item on here?
Well, I'd like to,
Part of your disapproval.
I'd like to phrase it so that we kind of instruct our representative, because it has to be submitted at a board meeting. We can give it to them all day long, but I think it'd be more effective if it was presented at a board meeting. If the present budget is declined, if it's not, then we have nothing to worry about. But if it is declined, then the only mechanism we have of getting this budget up before the appraisal district board is for our representative to move on it. Is that reasonable, sir? You're our
Yes, sir.
representative.
Yes, that's appropriate.
Okay, so I'm asking that the motion would,
Well, the motion would be in the event the taxing entities, more than 50% of them disapprove the budget, that the Commissioners Court representative, which is me, present to the Board of Directors of the Appraisal District the alternate budget that prepared by
Ms.
Ms.
Burr
Burr
and
and
myself.
Judge Hurley.
And I'll send it out to everybody. Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second, Commissioner Riley. Questions? Discussion?
Are you sure that's legal?
He
Are you
said-
sure it's legal?
According to our lawyer,
It is, yes.
If it's,
Well,
if it's
a
a,
non-binding, I mean, you're just handing them
You said
a
it was.
budget, it's really not,
well, if it's a relevant subject,
and it's a relevant subject.
you can make as many motions as you want off of one agenda item as long as it's
relevant.
consistent with the agenda
You're
item.
not passing that budget, you're not instructing them to pass that budget.
No, we're just
You're handing
presenting.
them a proposed piece of paper that says, hey, here's an idea.
And it's related to the resolution.
So then why do we have to have an emotion on it? I mean, can't you just hand it to them and say, here's a
I think
proposal? I mean,
I think that's your preference, isn't it, that he asked us last time to mandate that he vote against the last budget, and I think he wants the Commissioners Court to express that will. That, I recommend it too.
whatever,
Yeah, I think it's appropriate that the work was done. I've reviewed it, I looked at it, and I think it's reasonable, so.
why does it have to have a motion?
I honestly
and
don't
vote
think
on
we
it?
should submit it without, just because the auditor and I wrote it. I think it ought to be the will of Commissioners Court. That's my view. If you want us to submit it without that approval, we can do that.
Well, for one, I'm just saying, y'all wrote it and I trust in you guys. But if y'all are asking me to approve something I've not even seen or read, then I'm gonna be like our attorney. I think I need to see it before we vote on giving it to the tax assessor, to the appraisal district if I'm gonna have my name on it.
I apologize you didn't get it. I thought I sent it to everybody.
And you may have, I'm gonna tell you I didn't read it, if so.
Okay, we can
And if so,
table
that's,
that motion.
that's on me.
until-
I mean, if it's just an idea that you're
This'll
giving
wait
them,
until-
I don't see
We put
why.
an agenda item on the next meeting.
Yeah, because it'll wait.
It'll wait. We got time. There's 30 days from the date that we receive certified notice of the budget
Right.
being declined.
Okay, let's,
And so our next,
I'll just withdraw my second.
Okay, yeah, we're done.
yeah, we'll get it resent out to everybody.
thank you.
Sure, absolutely, Commissioner.
It was withdrawn. No, just a separate item.
Number 22, discuss and take appropriate action concerning waiving the hospitalization and health benefits waiting period for those transferring from Texas Rio Grande Legal Aid to the Atascosa Area Regional Public Defender's Office. We only have 3 people at this time. There may be more, although I'm not expecting it. But I'm asking it to be a blanket coverage. So if somebody shows up tomorrow that was still with Texas Rio Grande Legal Aid and wanted to transfer to our PDO, I'd like this to cover them.
I'll move for approval on it.
Motion by Commissioner Gillespie.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Perez. All those, discussion? All those in favor, please indicate by raising your right hand. Thank you. Motion carries.
Forgot.
I assumed you were going to raise your hand.
Not doing it, so.
23, discuss and take appropriate action concerning the allocation of funds from the American Rescue Plan for a nonprofit relief grant program for local profits and establish an oversight committee for this program. I intentionally left off a cap of amounts per group, per applicant, or per total, because I just really think it's better if we just put it out and see what comes in. It's hard to define whether it's going to take some human beings to look at. This is not something a computer or data analyst can handle. This is something human beings have to put their eyes on and say, well, this business does $100,000 a year, and this one does $1 million a year. So their requests are this way. It's not a business, I'm sorry, it's a charity, but what they have to prove is what they lost from COVID. And that's what the committee should be tasked with. So,
But shouldn't there be a limit on how much money is being considered?
I think the
out of
committee would
grant?
come back with recommendations to Commissioners Court, and it's gonna rest right here. Or,
Well, I guess my question is, in previous courts, we've done this for relief of businesses. We set a limit on the amount of money, the total pool.
we did.
And I think it'd be smart for us to set a limit on the pool here, too.
It's a pleasure.
I don't know what it is, though.
Pleasure, Commissioners Court.
I think what we did in the past is this process. We decided, the court decided, yes, they were gonna do it, then they came back and said, okay, we're gonna have this much, and this people, or this is how we're gonna do the process. You have to who, what, where, when, and why, so this is just to move forward with doing such a thing.
It's just hard to put a number on it. If you want to, it's always something we can change later if we see exceptions to it. However you want to proceed.
The last one was up to,
That's what I meant. I don't remember what the number was.
You mean per each group?
No, per total.
it was the business grant was up
Oh,
to.
I think we set,
Yeah, and we didn't spend it all either.
I think we set $500,000 on the business one.
Million, but we didn't spend it.
It was like 980 or something, I think we're at. Hey,
Stay there.
I'll take it.
Well, I guess my real question is there $1 million available? If there is, then we should set the pool. I don't know.
What was the answer?
I don't know the answer.
Oh, I thought
She's
you were
looking at
I
you.
thought you were looking at Tracy.
No, he was asking if there's money there to do this.
Oh, no, I don't think there's a limit on it, and you could dedicate $1 million to it if you wanted to.
And there's sufficient funds available to do that. That's my question, I guess.
I'm not keeping track of it daily, but we haven't spent much of the last $4 million batch that we received.
will we be picking this committee today?
Well, that's what it says, or we can come back and do it, whatever you prefer.
I'm all for moving forward, but I think the last committee that was together, and of course I was on there, so I'm gonna say it was the best committee we've ever had. But
Then let's appoint the same committee.
I think it was a good group of ones that came in. If
Let's
someone
vote
else
it.
wants to be on it as a commissioner, I'm gonna tell you, you don't do much besides just kind of sit there and take it in so you can bring it back to the court. The committee itself was Rusty, Brittany, and Ms. Barrera, and they did a phenomenal job. I did nothing but sit there. I came back to the court and presented it, so I think a different commissioner would be smart, but that's my opinion.
I think we ought to have the same one.
You think he did a great job, right?
Yeah, I think we ought to have the same one. He did it.
Well, then it'd be the second best committee we've ever had.
Well, wait a minute. Is the agenda item allocate funds from the ARP money? That's what it says, I think.
Agenda item?
That's what the request said.
Yeah, allocate the funds.
So that was my
And
question.
establish an oversight committee for the program. Here.
Yeah, I read it, but the first item is allocate the money. That's the reason I asked the question.
Right.
And I think we ought to do the same thing we did for business, set a limit of $1 million.
And
Up to.
up to $1 million and appoint the same committee?
That's fine.
Okay, we have a motion?
So moved. Might as well.
Somebody had their hand up over here? Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Perez. Discussion. All those in favor, raise your right hand. Merry Christmas, Commissioner Gillespie.
Thank you.
You already experienced.
Yeah, and why start over? Number 24, Tracy Barrera, discuss and take appropriate action concerning the review, acceptance, and selection of bids that were submitted by the deadline for a used 2018 or newer 10-ton pneumatic roller with less than 600 hours, or direct the county auditor to re-advertise.
Thank you, ma'am.
We received one bid, which is what the bid that I just handed to you. We had a couple of people call, but only one submit by the deadline, and it is from Nueces Power Equipment, and they bid $129,000 with an option for 48-month warranty for an additional $3,320. With the heavy inventory tax, which we have to pay, comes out to $132,532.64.
I'll move approval.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Knowlton, second by Commissioner
For
Riley.
pneumatic.
That's for you?
Big pneumatic.
I was like, where are you gonna?
This is for precinct 2.
Well, I keep borrowing.
It's mine.
No,
He
that's
traded in
that's
some
cool.
equipment though, didn't he? Didn't he
No,
trade
I-
in some equipment?
Yeah.
Yep, sure did.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please indicate by raising your right hand. Motion carries. Ms. Barrera, 25, discuss and take appropriate action concerning the trade-in of the following items from Road and Bridge Precinct 2, 2018 CAT CCS7, VIN CAT0 CCS734B 200125 for a trade-in value of $45,000. 2005 John Deere Motor Grader, VIN DW670CH594710 for a trade-in value of $24,000, for a grand total trade-in allowance of $69,000. Ms. Barrera.
Commissioners Court has to approve anytime anyone is trading in a piece of equipment. So I bring this to court every single time anybody wants to trade in any equipment. So just looking for approval for that.
I'll move approval. This is to against the purchase.
Motion by Commissioner Knowlton,
Second.
second by Commissioner Riley. Discussion, all those in favor, please indicate by raising your right hand. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Number 26, Tracy Barrera, discuss and take appropriate action concerning approval to purchase a wireless microphone system for Atascosa County Court at Law Reporter. The total estimate for Martel Electronics is $14,199.99. If approved, this will be charged to capital outlay unanticipated capital need 012-468-707. Ms. Barrera.
County Court at Law has come to me and requested this headset. It's the same one the district court's using, which she has to borrow theirs a lot, and it's logistics. They're having some trouble with it. It is a lot cheaper now than it was when we purchased it back during the peak of COVID for the district courts, but I'm asking if we can purchase this for them and charge it to unanticipated capital needs.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Gillespie, second by Commissioner Knowlton. Discussion. All those in favor, please indicate by raising your right hand. Motion carries. Yes, we have line item adjustments from Ms. Barrera that are all published legally, so I don't have to read them. Thank you, Trent. And but we do need a motion to approve them.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Perez, second by Commissioner Riley. Discussion. All those in favor, please indicate by raising your right hand. Motion carries. Number 28. Ms. Barrera, discuss, review, and take the action to accept and approve any invoices and payroll. No live invoices I see. I don't see a payroll. No payroll. Okay, so we need to approve the invoices, and that's all we need to do in this one.
So moved. Go ahead.
Motion by Commissioner Perez, second by Commissioner Gillespie. Discussion. All those in favor, please indicate by raising your right hand. Motion carries. Number 29, we are going to dismiss because this is not the meeting we do reports in. Number 30,
Thank you.
thank you. Update and take appropriate action concerning judge, commissioners, and other county elected officials training course certifications, recording the hours and certificates in the commissioners' court minutes and other documents not related to education needed to be filed in the court records. Constable William Meadows, faculty and staff of the Bill Blackwood Law Enforcement Management Institute of Texas, certify that William E. Meadows, under the auspices of the Sam Houston State University Criminal Justice Center, has successfully completed the 40-hour course in continuing education for constables on July 26, 2022. Motion to accept?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Gillespie, second by Commissioner Knowlton. No speeches from the constable? Thank you. All those in favor, please indicate by raising your right hand. Motion carries. Comments from Commissioners Court, number 31, no action to be taken. Are there any comments?
We will be chip sealing tomorrow in the Bird Eye area, so if you're out and about, be careful in that area for sticky rocks. Other than that, I got nothing.
Anything else? I have two quick updates. The Public Defender's Office is moving along. We're working right now on trying to hire an interim chief public defender. This person happens to work for Wilson County. We'll see how this works out. If it does, this person's on the same insurance we have, so it should be interesting transfer. It's a very likely possibility, but I've got to call a PDO board meeting Tuesday to confirm it, and I'll get back with you on that. Juvenile, we are now advertising the opening that we'll be taking clients. This is not from the public, this is only from juvenile probation offices and directed by juvenile judges. They have to be in the system, but we're, September 1st, we're taking applications for clients for the juvenile treatment center, the POST program. And that's all I have. If no one has anything else, the next meeting is set for Monday, August 22nd. One thing I left out is we're gonna have to hire a ton of people for the PDO.
We adjourned? Oh, we adjourned.
Huh?
So we adjourned.
Oh, I beg your pardon. Adjourned. Thank you. Would you like us to adjourn, Commissioner Riley?